Welcome to the third Friday Salon. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Should I stay? Would it be a sin? For I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with you. Thank you for your patience. And now we are going to start with Leon Martell. Okay. A graduate of University of Iowa, he founded the comedy troupe Duck's Breath Mystery Theater. He's written numerous plays as well as shows for the Nickelodeon Network and family audience shows for the Los Angeles Philharmonic and the Hollywood Bowl. He teaches at UCLA Extension and AMDA, where from his classroom window, he can see the Hollywood sign. Please welcome Leon Martell.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, can you see me now? I'm hoping. Yep, you see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. This is a piece that actually based on a real event that I saw, and I'll keep referencing old people, of which now I am one. And so when I say people in their 70s, I know what that means now. At that time, I was much younger. All right. This is called Coon's Pipes. Coon's Pipes. One of the biggest theatrical pipe organs in Southern California, and definitely the biggest built in a motorcycle shop, is being removed, disassembled, torn out in 2 weeks. After more than a decade of Saturday night concerts, this and next Saturday will be the last. I had to go. Long Beach, Coon's Motorcycle Shop, BMWs and Suzukis. From the side street, peeking in, it looks like church is going on. And out in front, still looks like church. Older men and women, few kids, no teens, but inside, the storefront's crowded with dusty motorcycle parts on tables. There's a tall, thin, elegant woman on a stool behind the entrance, in her 70s, superbly dressed in a camel's hair suit, perfectly overly made up with a pillbox hat. She spots me, turns on the charm. Is this your first time? I feel virginal. She offers me the guest book that looks like it's for a bed and breakfast or a wedding. There's only standing room right now, but if you wait, a seat will open up. I sign and smile. I feel scared and dizzy, like I'm going to have a sexual experience. I'm not getting hostility from anybody. I'm not an outsider. I'm just treated like another pilgrim. I finally come out of my nervous daze and realize what she said. Other people aren't going in because they're 75 years old. I don't need a seat. Besides, how long am I going to stay? Probably for an hour. I can go in and stand. So I step through the curtain doorway and I'm right at the keyboard. There's the kid from the newspaper article playing something. I can't tell right off. I'm too embarrassed and suddenly to be between the musician and the gaze of maybe 150 people and mid-song. And so I shoot to the back of the room, trying to look inconspicuous. No one seems to care. The room is full of folding chairs with big black vinyl couches and easy chairs in the back. Oh, there's some chairs available. So I sit. And then I realize I'm looking through a Suzuki 1100 SG motor monster bike. The bikes, mostly in pieces, have been pushed back and are scattered throughout the room. And I find a better spot. Then I can see the keyboard if I peek around the bike. I can see the pipe rooms and the people all spread out in front of me. Nearby, a sleepy-eyed World War II vet in a sport shirt bobs his head to the music. He sits on a couch with his chunky wife, and between them, what I figure is their beautiful daughter in her late 20s. She's gigantically tall and lean, with thin, long fingers, almost translucent skin. She has big, soft lips that seem incapable of closing due to their own weight. Her wistful eyes and a ton of soft brunette hair. She's cushioned between her parents' protection, but I, of course, assume I can feel her wanting, dreaming. And I start to fall in love with her as we all nod in the organ trance. I lean against the wall behind me and I get a full blast. It's the tuba room spelled with lots of O's. I'm shaken by the music. Whenever the bass player hits a bass note, I get a buzz. The pipe rooms. The pipes are separated from us in big rooms. There are sound baffled doors, 6 inches by 6 feet, with heavy acoustical padding that pop open whenever the guy playing decides. I can't tell why yet. The main thing is the panel where these doors are surrounded by Christmas tree lights and gold tinsel, and there's only one small light in the room with us, the audience. But there are, inside the pipe rooms, enormous, probably 500-watt theatrical light bulbs. And whenever the acoustic doors open to let out the music, they also let out the light in big slashes that rip out from over the backs of the audience towards the keyboard, the console. They practice open console. If you can play, just sign up and play. So far, only the warm-up has happened. We're just getting started. Watching the first 2 guys plays is like watching somebody do accounting. They're squinting through their glasses and flipping switches and punching keys, and like somebody doing math. But they are not the show. The organ is the show, and it's all around us. The sound and the lights, and the people aren't just still because they're old. They get a buzz on from the roar of the organ, and they are tuned into it. When the doors are open, you can see into the pipe rooms and get a glimpse of the pipes. And not just pipes, there's other things in there. And we hear tambourines, whistles, a doorbell. The guy playing, says the young MC, has that in the theater sound. He plays, "That's entertainment," and "I gotta be me." He plays with heavy pedal and the doors bang open, and I'm starting to get the idea. The people are dressed like for a church supper. A very serious, world-worn, immigrant-looking woman leads a family to the door of the main chamber. She takes them in. They are in the pipes, getting a full shot. Wow. They come out looking blessed. She talks to 2 people near me, and I can't hear, of course, and she opens the door again, and then she looks right at me, and she smiles and nods. I feel chosen, and I carefully step in. It's incredibly bright and loud. We couldn't talk if we wanted to. We're just in there getting enlightened. We're stunned. It's our one chance to see the wizard. There's a drum set nailed to the wall near the ceiling with animated beaters so the keyboardist can have percussion. And I spot a marimba right over my head and a xylophone on the wall with pipes everywhere. Good galvanized tin pipes, the kind of tin my dad really liked to find to use for auto body repairs. Good tin that was strong and would last. Oh, time is up. And we have to make room for others. It's the unspoken, understood etiquette. Just like out front, there's certain rules for hospitality and homeliness that are just understood. I'm back out in the room and my heart is pounding. I realize I'm standing next to a drill press with my back to the tuba room, and I'm not a virgin anymore. I've been in the main chamber. I'm initiated. I watch others go in. Embraceable You plays. Why do I know these songs? A group of old people come in and they take the only empty seats. It takes them a full minute to realize that they have to stare through the motorcycle. They maneuver a minute and figure out how to see. I'm watching a woman in her 70s stare through the spokes and over the chrome exhaust system of a partly disassembled Suzuki. Valley high, they say that falling in love is wonderful. And now my epiphany. Ferdinand Martell comes up to the console. He talks to the audience. He sings, he performs, he flirts, he has a French accent. He talks about Marie Chevalier, and he sings and plays, "Thank heaven for little girls." He does another French song called "Without Love, There Is Nothing at All." He tells jokes about how many facelifts he's had. He sings and plays, "I love you." 3 words sound so divine. The walls are covered with service hours and pictures of motorcycles. And a poster says, "If you're not here to buy a BMW, you should know why so many guys do." Al Monat comes up to the console. Light from the pipes room bounces off the glasses of the little girls as they lean against the enormous bellies of their fathers. In the older people's faces, you can see the music bringing back dates and dances and good times. Al Monat says, "I recall my girlfriends, Jamie, Susie. I forgot the other 2. Cymbals from the pipe room. Al thanks Spud Coons, a little old lady who baptized me in the pipe room. Little girls don't get it. To them, this is all normal. They won't know this is extraordinary for years, if ever. They introduced the elegant older woman at the front door, Mrs. Munson, in her makeup, and I guess that's really a beret with jeweled badges on it. Dave Crawford gets on and he plays some classical music and he rips loose, and I was hooked. I'd been in the main chamber. I had my first taste, and when the pipes throbbed at my back in the tuba room, I wanted to tear open the door and dive in, to stick my head in those bass pipes and get vibrated. I made eye contact with another guy my age, and we smiled. We both knew everyone here would like to dive into the pipes. It's just that sense of responsibility, that thin hold of respectable behavior that keeps me and 100 old people from running totally amok. On the last day here, it should be really crazy. It may be too sad. I don't know if I'd want to see it. It'll be like hearing that an old lover had died. A guy my age mutters something to his friend about, "Oh, this is nothing. Atlantic City, blah, blah, blah," something about size. And I'm thinking, nothing? This is ours. I'm suddenly very possessive. I just got here and it's already ours, in my head and in my heart. These guys at the console, they've all got these great wide butts from hours of sitting while mastering this thing. Vince Benton gets on the console and he jokes, "At the Last Supper, did they set up a card table for the kids?" I want to make love to the organ girl, to see her in crinoline, looking like Donna Reed, and It's a Wonderful Life. She looks that fragile and lovely in the light from the pipe flashing over her, and she sits in a romantic trance from another time. It's very romantic. Vince waves at the end of each song. He takes requests. Somebody yells, "Sousa," next to marches. Somebody says, "Romantic again." That's the spirit. The organ girl has closed her eyes. She's a nurse. She works too hard to make her car payments. Her lips part more, but she's very still. Vince plays "Crazy, Crazy for his sister in Chicago. A fat guy with glasses on the top of his head squeezed between organ girl and her dad on the couch. He's moving on her very hard, and she smiles, and fingers a giant hawker an engagement ring, almost putting it in his face. Vince waves, and the fat guy leaves. She has such gentle hands, long fingers. A lady wants to move but can't get out. She's locked in by a white Chrysler LeBaron, license plate number, dit. I can feel the organ panting. Don Bricknell plays Ain't She Sweet and Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone. Organ girl switched her ring onto her index finger. What's up? It's obviously too big for her ring finger. Oh, she's just using it as a ploy to get rid of Fat Guy. Oh, maybe there's still hope for me. Don plays like a carpenter, graceful, gentle. Can't help loving that man of mine. Walter Blanchard comes to the console. He's to be the last. Do any of you remember Joe Coons? Joe bought and put in the organ, and Spud kept it going since Joe died in 78. It's just too much now. She's nearly 90, and it's just too much. In 2 weeks, it's being taken out. That's it. We'll never have another place like this, but we will find another place. And there had been announcements about other theater organ concerts, and we can at least say thanks. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. People are floating away. Walter fights with whistles and bells and gongs and drums, tico, tico, dee, tico, tico, da. It's obvious Walter knows this console and every little surprise it can give us. There are tape recordings running everywhere, but they can't get what it's like to be here. They can't give you the buzz, the trance. But between the Suzuki 1100 and the drill press with your back against the tuba room, blues in the night. Walter is a 300-pound bouncing guy with a butt as wide as any we've seen here tonight. And he plays Anything Goes. Oh, organ girl is standing by the main chamber. I want so much to go in with her into the searing light and the throbbing pipes. We wouldn't have to say anything. We couldn't say anything. It would run through us both and together. But we keep our decorum. One last song. Someone who knows what's happening says, Stardust. Da 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 da. And we have our finish. The Christmas lights go out. Everyone files out past the console as Walter plays a coda of a jaunty good night, ladies. So none of us will feel too sad. And we shift out back into the bad neighborhood, back into our cars and onto the freeway towards home. Organ girl is gone. I never spoke my love. Spud Coons is gone, but at least we shared a look. And after next week, the organ will be gone. And the little girls will barely remember. But at least I got to go in my once. Thank you.
Bravo!
Bravo, bravo!
Oh! 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 I'm so glad I'm old.
Better than the alternative.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so now let's welcome Elena Karina Byrne.
Ah, hello. Okay.
Hello.
Turn on your
You took
video.
me by surprise. So, our darling Lois, I think, convinced me to read a poem from my new book. And the reason I'm showing you the image is because I'm going to read the poem that belongs to this image. It's an ekphrastic poem. All of the poems are in some way or another in response to artworks. That's photographed by William Wegman. And you'll know him because he's famous for his photographs and his use of his Weimaraner dogs. They were even appeared in Sesame Street. So, but this particular image was important to me because when I was growing up as a child, my brother, who was 5.5 years older, had a poster of this on his wall. And just as a backstory, I grew up with art and artists. So, and then I also don't know if you know the Vincent van Gogh beautiful painting. It's a little painting of just shoes. So that comes into play here. Okay. William Wegman's Weimaraner William, to be a stand-in. 2 shoes I took off at the party and left them in a footfield with others by the door. Looking back at them, ditched, looking at their Weimaraner brown obedient mouths. I wondered if they revealed personality, could be identified as belonging to me. W.W. photographed his shoes once, old pair, untied on, tied off, 1973. They together, I only remember because I thought I once recognized their sockless near twins in Van Gogh's painting, just askew, worn in as if far windows wept away from them, as if once gray animals in our clothes groaned, then slept. Children love or hate shoes as they do dogs. Teach themselves how to tie them up, keeping left and right, side by side, well behaved by the bed. Psychologists say that we choose pets and colors for a reason. We look alike. So be other, I say. Be a stand-in once, souvenir, leggy, and for more a moment while collapsing into the ocean room. That's it. Thank you.
Oh,
Hands.
thank you, Elena. Thank you. And now let's welcome Dean Petrakis.
Thank you, Elena, and I'm excited to be here reading with everybody, with Beth and Leon especially, and with Love in the Dark, and thank you all. So I've just published a new book called Sweeping Up Stardust, and I'm going to read some pieces from that.
Can I just read something about you?
You may,
Real bio?
absolutely.
Thank you. Dean Petrakis is a writer, actor, and businessman who has performed on stages around the country. Originally from Chicago, he has called California home for over 40 years. He has recently published a book of poetry and short fiction entitled Sweeping Up Stardust. Will you please put your links for the book in the chat so people
Absolutely,
can
I will do that. I will do that when I'm done reading.
Beth, the same. Thank you so much. Please welcome Dean Petrakis.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
The first piece is called When Naps Fail. I woke up and faced the day, a stumbling first step out of bed, coffee, gym, a shower, a smoothie from a health food grocery. Something was off, a headache of the heart. I came home and lay down, though I'd only been up 3 hours. I thought a nap might give the day a fresh coat of paint. Maybe I could locate the curiosity I misplaced in my dreams. Find a cold can of zeal and zest to chug. But I woke only slightly reconstituted, hardly a change. I fear this may become the new normal. Sleep, devoid of refreshment. Renewal, a quaint idea. The next piece is kind of ties in with what Elena just read before a little bit. And it's called Trees and Dogs. By growing slowly, trees afford humans leafy, vaulting witnesses to life's long game, a standing offer of shadow and beauty for all, nature's perfect creation. Aging faster than humans, dogs offer life's arc compressed. Perhaps God thought that losing 3 or 4 dogs in our lifetime might remind us that time is short. God is awfully optimistic. We stagger and howl, made cross-eyed from our shrieks of self-awareness. Trees and dogs form a rhythm section, tight in the pocket, while us humans spend our lives looking for an instrument to play. The next piece, I was raised in the Midwest, and specifically right on Lake Michigan, and it's a memory piece, a place that's very warm in my heart, special place, and it's called Labor Day 1973. Howling squalls whipping the surf in Lake Michigan. Cold, early September and autumn had arrived. Do you remember when the seasons aligned with the calendar? It was almost a scalpel cut on the day, and then the next season began. That was the weather in the 1970s. The official last day of summer, time to shoe our calloused feet, clothe our sand-crusted bodies, and set aside our nomadic ways. One final round of parties until we are forced inside. The morning starts with the Joe Muskrat Memorial Sailboat Race. Though Joe is there, very much alive, it is an age of contradictions. The wind howling, the waves pounding the shore, capsizing boats and crews. Body surfing after the race, I nearly drowned in the undertow. The lake kept you close to life and death. Earlier that summer, Carrie Allen stepped on the submerged body of a young boy. He dragged a limp child to shore. Death on a summer's day. Night comes, cricket and cicada humming, slathering our ears. Midnight at the Oasis plays on a passing car radio. The theme song for this adolescent amusement park of ours. Smoke and ash in my hair and lungs from the weed and the bonfire. Someone mumbles, bonfire, that's French for good fire. And we all laugh and laugh until the silence returns. We are at ease with silence and listening, certainly better than I am now. A full moon rises, mottled by fast-moving clouds, dousing the wavy dune grass and singing sand in the silver haze. A Ruscio painting on acid, I think. I'm 16. Being high is an expected part of life in the wake of the 60s. We hadn't learned to just say no. We were saying, hey, is there any more? I think of Danielle, her cracked tooth amplifying her beauty, my hands under her poncho at the park. She's now in NYC, far away from this place, and me. I start humming, hello, it's me, the catchiest love song of the early 70s. It's not Color My World, it's not Lady, it's not Diamond Girl, none of that toxic treacle, frogging your judgment. Hello, it's me is about endings. It's about love only being visible in its aftermath. Listen, the song is laced with minor chords, just like love. Of course, none of us knew that yet. In our gut, we sensed something was up. We were becoming versed in broken hearts. The best love songs aren't about love. Sometimes I can't help seeing all the way through. No, if you're talking love, you're talking loss.
Wow.
Thank you. The next piece is about my grandmother, and it's called Yaya, which is Greek for grandmother. And I was very lucky to know 3 of my 4 grandparents. And this is about my mom's mom, and it's called Yaya. I had dreams of poring over old videos and photographs with some sort of 1970s output device, a microfiche reader with knobs and gears whirring against the dim bulb, a metaphor for my end days, watching the images spool, oxidize, erode, and fade to black and white, though of course that is no longer possible, not with color-corrected dim images stored on cloud platforms. Who the fuck really wants technology in their clouds anyway? One regrettably absent element in modern photographs is they don't age, curl, crack, bend, and delaminate like we do. There was always something instructive in looking at a photo of my Yaya, Greek for grandmother, as a young woman and comparing it to the wrinkled face in front of me. The picture spoke of time, a journey, loss, and reality that both my Yaya and the photograph shared. In the digital realm, you have none of that. It's all pristine, but with no depth, dimensions, or damage. The image is so perfect, all the flaws submerged. Meanwhile, old photographs stay old. Yaya's life was her family. Her older brothers brought her to Chicago as a teenager from a village in Greece so she could care for them. I never asked her if she wanted to leave her home. I do know when she spoke of her childhood in Greece, she whispered. She married John Perparos. They had 3 kids, Maria, Diana, and George, and they settled on the city's south side in the 1920s. She lost a child named Teddy at 18 months. His baby shoes, sarukis, haunted a bookshelf in our home. My papuli was the sweetest person I'd ever met. He was also unlucky, becoming wealthy, owning several shoe stores, and then losing them all in the Depression. Once he left a sock full of gold coins at a bank teller's window. When he came back, it was gone. All the losses made my Yaya bitter and mean, especially towards my papuli. When we came to visit, he bellowed with joy and wept to see us as he hugged and kissed us while she scowled at him. My Yaya grew tomatoes and carnations in the backyard of their brick bungalow, across the street from the liquor store on 83rd Street, where we'd buy carnation milk in a glass bottle. At Sunday dinners, she'd serve dandelion greens from her garden, boiled with lemon, dill, and olive oil. She could be fierce, but her true tenderness shone through her towards her grandkids, her own lost child safe in our company. I don't recall her expressing a desire to take a photograph or to own a camera. She lived her life without the luxury of reflection. She lived outside the tyranny of images. If an occasion arose for a photograph, then she had her picture taken. There were very few moments like that. I've come to appreciate that she understood time better than I. Curiously, she encouraged me to have my picture taken. Yaya pushed me into photos, even if I didn't know the people being photographed. Ela do Costa, she would say, placing me in the frame, as if my life was worth recording and hers wasn't. Film wasn't cheap. And then I'm going to finish up this section here with the title piece of the book, which is called Sweeping Up Stardust. Last night, it was Dia de los Muertos. Nicole had laid out an altar of photos of her departed loved ones. She bought an autumn bouquet of flowers and burned white sage, which scented the air. Smoke drifted around the photos of her mother and father, my mother and my son. It was a healing and loving gesture. She said that according to myth, Dia de los Muertos offers a bridge for the spirits to visit. I've lived in SoCal long enough to know of the holiday, the skeletal masks invoking the spirits. But I'm a skeptical Midwestern guy, wary of anything too far afield from quote unquote reality. I don't know what I think about heaven. I'm still struggling with earth. That night, I dreamt of my son, Nick, and my mom together at a dinner table. As we were putting food out, Nick came up to me and wanted to tell me why he had taken his life. I shushed him, kissed his forehead, and said, I don't need to know that now. All I want you to know is I love you. Even in my dream, I recognize my effort at forgiveness as an achievement. Later in the dream, Nick was a child, He swam in the pool, showing off with slapstick dives. He was cold afterwards, so I drew him a bath. As our evening together came to an end, he was now again about 22, the age Nick was when he died. We sat outside at a gastro pub under some Edison lights at a blue picnic table with kind strangers. I said it was okay if he had a beer. I wake before dawn, the edges of the room singed by the rising sun. I head down the hall to make coffee. Sitting on the couch in the living room is Nick. You didn't let me finish talking to you, he said. I stare at him. Sorry, tell me. I was tired. I was in trouble. I was tired of being in trouble. Okay, I said. My stomach really hurt. I know. You remember when I said I love chaos? Remember that? Yeah, of course. It's one of my favorite stories, I said. Do you remember when we wrestled together when I was little? He was excited. You used to say, you want to mess around with me? I do. He used to squeal with laughter. Bye, Dad. I love you. You mean the world to me. Then he was gone. I sat in his spot on the couch for over an hour. Life gives us so many death stories. A mom lost to cancer before her daughter turns 13. A baby dead, drowned in the pool at her sister's birthday party. A beloved son, a scholar killed by a drunk driver. I'm not the orphan boy whose parents died when he was young. Those are not my stories. No, I'm deadless, the father left behind. I wipe the crusts of sleep from my eyes. I have a full day ahead, sweeping up stardust.
Oh,
Thank you.
Dean, that is such a great story. So moving.
Dean.
Ah,
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Dean. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So now let's welcome Beth Russia. Anyway, daughter of actors, veteran actress, accomplished and award-winning on stage, film, and television, poet, widely published, multiple finalist honors, author of speaking parts, winner of the Brick Road Poetry Prize.
this is my book. I'm going to be reading from it, speaking parts. We have been watching a show called Station 11, which is written in 2014, but it's about a worldwide pandemic that basically takes out everybody. In fact, the world is over, and the only thing that's left is this traveling theater company called the Traveling Symphony. So theater is the only thing going in the world that's over, which made me think. And towards the end of this miniseries, they put on a production of Hamlet, which made me think about this poem that I'm going to read. There's a thing about when you're an actor, you get to, you have this vigorous relationship with whatever you're working on, and you can't have a glancing, you get to burrow in. And Ophelia has always just been really difficult for me as a character. She's so submissive. But when you're an actor, you have to actually find a reason to love somebody. And so this is what happened when I wrote this poem, towards an uneasy love for Ophelia. Oh, you scattered, fragmented wisp, you shattered flower pot shard, you torch singer with no sense of pitch. How much I have learned at your expense, from plight to plight. Your, I, my lord, and I think nothing, my lord. That load you choke down, that we are born to be mastered, you pawed over unlucky charm. Yet, What would I give for a sure and certain place in the chain of being? How easy for pigeons to curtsy. How safe, fixed at the feet of oaks among vines, beneath a seraphim canopy, to coast above the work-song clack of shellfish and the livelong undertow. And how much I ache for a faith like yours, its wobbly legs, its puppiness. How soft to give everything over, every muscle, every ghost, to the collapsing fugue, to sleep. Because anyway, we are all of us weak, crying, Uncle! Life is weakness. And in every ending, we all lose the will. And the victory is without stones in your pockets. And the river is your answer. Oh, Ophelia. You deliver me from believing in ceilings, from the sway of swinging from some chandelier, and hearing what you would say come out of my mouth. Who could deny me my moment of frailty, talk me down from what ledge, keep me from keening about my own stage, to be a bad joke in the making? For want of what would I press on? But Ophelia, you disaster, you take my breath away from the stinging nettles in your hair to the reeds in your teeth as you breach the last lock so placidly, you darling damned. By way of an introduction, kind of a link.
Can you please make sure, excuse me, can you please make sure everybody else is muted because we're still getting an echo. Thank you. Please mute.
Gail Doris
Thank you.
Davis, you're not muted. Sorry. You keep kind of
There we
bumping
go.
in there. Great. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. So as I was saying, by way of a kind of elaborate epitaph, I'm going to read a poem by Robin Cost Lewis from this book, Voyage of the Sable Venus. It's called The Mothers. We meet sometimes between the dry hours, between cloughs in the involuntary plan, refusing to think of rent or food, how civic the slick to satisfied from man, and democratic. A lucky strike each, we sponge each other off while what's grayed in and gray slinks ashamed down the drain. No need to articulate great restraint. No need to see each other's mouth lip the obvious. Giddy, fingers garnished with fumes of onions and garlic, I slip back into my shift, then watch her hands, wordless, reattach her stockings to the martyred rubber moons wavering at her garter. And this is my poem. It's called All Beings Have Been Your Mother. Winston scented and coffee breathed, bags under her eyes, fatigued beyond the reach of Excedrin, 4 children in 5 years. This was my mother. An old 7, I got stomach aches over how she'd ever manage. I washed dishes, I made my bed. Out of clay, I put together miniature inedible meals, peas and carrots, drumsticks. But I didn't know sewing. I had to have a choir robe to be in 2nd grade chorus, white, like angels' clothes, long, to my ankles. Without a white angel robe with a bow at the neck, I'd flunk choir. The next day, in front of the blackboard, a rack of official choir robes, exiled to a hook on the back wall of the classroom, Mom's version fashioned for me from Dad's old shirt, which looked like a homemade ghost. I'd gotten the facts wrong. She'd stayed up all night. It made her sick all the next day. It killed her 50 years later. What did I know? In high school, my debate partner, Doug, he was my mother. On the sly, he taught me how to drive his dad's car, caught heck when I almost rolled it, took the blame, made me believe I could someday be a good driver. On filthy streets, cracked with cold, a lady lived on cardboard, retrieved broken lipsticks from trash cans, stabbed color on her cheeks. Hadn't she been my mother? Singing that lullaby when I pressed dollar bills into her hand. Sleigh bells ringing in the snow. From one of my lovers, I caught the infection that locked off my womb. From some other girl, he'd caught it, and she from some other guy. All those lovers were my mothers. In other lifetimes, I was theirs. This scout ant crossing my yellow kitchen counter, a search party of one, looks for sustenance. I was of her tribe. She made an angel robe for me once. Thank you. On Valentine's Day, about, 6 years ago, I was hospitalized for 5 days with a respiratory infection, a very bad respiratory infection called RSV, which usually isn't as bad. Anyway, it's not abstract to me what can happen to you when you can't breathe. And here's this poem. Desaturation is a mind of dark blue. And it has this epigraph: illness takes on the disguise of love. That's from Virginia Woolf. Desaturation is a mind of dark blue, and my tinged fingertips is an everyday chest cold turning dire, is the nearly indigo, oxygen-free stratosphere as air sacs swell, lungs inflame, a blank slate, a shadow crossing lips, hospital alarms, breath crowded out, a circus tent deflating. Dark blue is a shade once so lovely on me. Not as becoming the robin's egg blue. No, pick midnight. Mom called it my color. You can carry it off. The more deeply saturated, the more sophisticated. That's what I miss. Her confidence for me. I can't make a fist. Too soon I'm wheeled outdoors, the ex-patient zone, assaulted by car exhaust, faint metallic smell of bottled oxygen, fogged cannula, tethering me to a metered supply of the stuff. I step gingerly off the curb where ancestral wariness dogs me, because in California, as in Italy, lands where my fathers died, beware the ground, it may split where you stand. And I may have to concede to widening crevasses. No longer Teflon or spry or artful dodger, my store of finesse has decamped. Dark blue is the slipperiest of chasms, is the hitch at the bottom of exhale, so much to it, and I've lost the knack. There's a grandfather I've never met, Italian, American, sweet land of liberty, and the Great War shipped him back to fight against his own. Mustard gas is a weapon of persistent inflammation, and ever after he rasps through scarred airways, demands quiet, craves the old days before radio, and scolds my father for wasting his ever-loving breath. And by request, my last poem for this set is about a place that doesn't exist anymore. And so I wrote this little homage to it. It was a place where all of us actors, Leon, I, and Dean, if Roxanne is here, if anyone else is in the audience this is an actor, they can relate to this poem, of matchbooks, phone booths, and the loss of nicodels. In those days when somebody famous yanked open the bar's side door off Melrose, spilling a rectangle of sunny rebuke on us unknowns, ripening in Nicodel's night for day ambience, we looked up without looking up, slitting our eyes to the light. We were dark-clothed theater rats rehearsing all hours on our wageless farce, our German expressionism, all our daylight eaten, not from around here pale, funhouse sweaty with thirst to burn, but seated in a place like Nicodel's. In old Hollywood, the slightly seedy side, down from local television station KCAL, and spooned by the back lot of Paramount Studios. In the hierarchy of regulars, we had rank. We wanted for nothing. Nicodels. With a name like Loose Change, where dream makers on martini lunches and newscasters from the desert to the sea to all of Southern California, like Jerry Dunphy, could tuck into one of the bar's red leather booths and dine in the cocktail atmosphere. Where here's mud in your eye, nobodies could have a completely appointed experience, exchanging phone numbers inside midnight blue matchbooks that boasted of air conditioning, a smoky topaz back mirrored bar, Caesar salads tossed tableside, shoestring potatoes, salty hot, dark wood, dark corners, 15 different bourbons. Back when drinking in the daytime was the mark of a vivid, lush life. When you could grab matchbooks by the handful next to the cigarette machine on the way to the phone booth, acting like you had someone who loved you, dying for a call.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Love that poem.
That was for you, Dean.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
All of you.
What a night. What a night.
What
Yes.
what a night is right. What a night. And it's not over yet.
It's not over yet. The fun is just beginning, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
Great to see you, Tina. I mean, your poems give me goosebumps, Beth, really. I mean, so many of them. So many of them. So,
Thank you, Elena. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, and I just hope that my space isn't running out. My disk, now it's my disk. Anyway, so let's welcome Lois P. Jones. Yes.
You can come back to me, Elena. Come back to
Okay.
me. Okay.
Darrell Larson,
What?
the one and only.
What?
Do you have something for us?
Oh, no, I have no plan to read.
Oh.
No, not really. I just like listening
Okay.
to everybody. I'd have to
Okay,
grab
well, we'll
something.
come
I
back.
don't need to do that.
We'll come back to you. But please stay.
Well, thanks.
Okay. How about Marc Petrie? Is he in the house? Okay.
Okay, so I just had I'm getting a food poem published in Versa Virtual in March. And given the last poem, Nicodel, I'm not going to compete with that, Beth. That is just too awesome. And I love the scene it painted. But I'm going to read a poem about another deli. And you guys aren't from Orange County, but so you don't know that the oldest deli in Orange County is in Santa Ana, near the first Reformed Jewish temple in Santa Ana. And the name of it is Benji'S. And it's like a local hangout for me, and my son was raised there. So anyway, this poem is sort of a homage to Benji'S, and it's called Lunch at Benji'S. The first thing my boss ordered at Benji'S Delicatessen was a Dr. Brown's celery soda. He shut his eyes as he took the first sip. A broad smile formed on his face. He let out an audible, ah. This man covets a Porsche. He lives in a posh Redondo Beach condo. This is the happiest I have ever seen him, all over a soda. They have these little restaurants like this in Queens. He escaped the brutal harshness of his youth to play football for Woody Hayes in Ohio. Converted from Judaism to Presbyterianism when he was hired by Price Waterhouse. Yet still needs to connect with things in Queens. And he connects to Queens through Jewish memories. He picks a kosher dill in salt brine, puts it on the plate with his pastrami on rye. These are real pickles, he says. Salt brine, no vinegar. So many of us try to run away from ourselves. The only path to happiness is through ourselves.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Nice.
Through
Thank you.
ourselves.
Thanks for the invite. And I got a book coming out next year. Woohoo. 300 Streets of Venice, California. There it is. So there are 300 streets in Venice, California, of which I'm choosing about 50, and this is one of them. Boone Avenue. Born a small footpath, Boone Ave came of age in thick settled North Carolina. Boone Ave wasn't very happy in those parts. Boone Ave wanted room to wander. So Boone Ave walked out on North Carolina, too settled, Boone Ave said. Boone Avenue led wagon and wife to liberty, like Joseph led Mary to Egypt with baby Jesus. Boone Avenue said to his wife, Kentucky's our Egypt. But civilization came for them, and that old dissatisfaction darkened their Kentucky farm. So Boone Ave told the wife, Indiana's our Egypt. But civilization wasn't put off, found them there too. Said Boone Ave, Missouri's our Egypt, has to be. But around midnight, civilization crept up to Missouri, hemming it in. Boone Avenue, ever the slick street, skedaddled. From one west to the next, Boone Avenue moved on 2 steps ahead of politicos, speculators, and side streets who sidled too close to Boone Avenue's business. Boone Ave wested all the way to California. Near the beach, Boone Ave built a cabin of eucalypt wood thatched with palm fronds. Boone Ave, by this time an old rutted street, figured he was finally free. Well, it didn't take long for bulldozers to knock at Boone Avenue's door. The dozers said, "Sir, this land is zoned R1. No hunting, no outhouses or haylofts. Here is the building code. See for yourself." Again, Boone Avenue looked west, but Boone Ave had run out of west. Out west was nothing but salt water. Boone Avenue's fugitive days were done. Next morning, Boone Ave heard the bulldozers roughing it towards him. Boone Ave had never loved cities. Now he was surrounded. He took out his rifle and pointed it straight up right into his jaw's soft underside. Boone Avenue shot himself dead. The dozers flayed Boone Ave's body, tanned the stretched skin, and divided the hide into house lots. Out of respect, they kept the name. Westering out cross-continentally, Boone was an American street. Some die so that others might live free in 2,000 square feet, 4 ensuite and Corian counters. Pioneers, oh, pioneers. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And now let's welcome Lois. Are you ready? Okay. Lois B. Jones.
Phone number. That's somebody else.
Okay. Are you ready, Darrell?
Yeah, I found one. As a matter of fact, I read it on Monday.
Well, excellent.
On a program called Lovesick on Valentine's Day. So this is called Lovesick Variations. It's written 1/23/2022. Today I saw your hips at 7th and Grand. I saw your breasts at Whole Foods. The way you goofed on the grapefruits in the middle of the night at the Malibu market. Deep giggle. Jiggling them in front of your delectable. Have you noticed how Pablo Picasso and Harpo Marx appear to have been separated at birth? 2 leering predators honking after their squealing prey, shapely in her terror. Mythic bull contorting all over her, and we laugh and chortle and admire these antics. At the entitled lust and artful depictions of cartoon rape. And after the mad pursuit, genius boys commandeer the smooth white thighs of the panicked beauty. Is she sobbing or proud? All of it seems so beyond words and so sad. Looking back. So what are the rest of us to do? Talk her into it? Or him? Or whoever? Someone to look forward to desire so as to exist, maybe. Addicted to being seen in love. In that pond in the rain, kissing. See how the drops splash, letting us breathe. But when? But where? But whom? So many questions, while striving to stay upright at all cost. Thank you.
Darrell, thank you. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you, Darrell.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you. Lois?
Where is Lois?
We're all waiting for Lois.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I haven't been able to. Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's welcome Ken Scott.
I'm here. I'm
Good evening.
here. I'm sorry.
Don't, Lois,
All
go ahead. Go ahead, Lois. Go ahead, Lois.
I'm so sorry. Okay. So just to say that this backdrop here is actually a picture, a photograph that has to do with the poem I'm going to read. And it was taken in Big Sur. And you can see behind me, I don't know what you can see, but there's like a stone shape and then kind of a leaf face. And then there's a light that's coming down, obviously. So this comes from 2 visits kind of over the period of COVID. And I went there on my own in October in 2020. And then again last year. And so this is the poem, and it's called Big Sur Redwoods by Full Moon, Shifting Voices, October 2020. So kind of from the voices of the redwoods. Comes to you from Titans and says, be shadow, be silence. Gathers the length of longing and says, crown the sky with impermanence. Comes in the middle of caution, an October felled into acres of loss. Drinks the light, lulling the waves of disaster that brought you here. Enters the path at midnight when the deer's eyes empty into trembling. Says, you who know strength, keep standing. No fires will catch the heartwood where you live. No oceans will drown you in their history. Dream, the path calling you beyond evening's bleed of wood smoke into the clearing. Be somnambulant, walk in the certainty there is no blindness, only what comes between you and this act of knowing. Fall like a nocturne into the river, rushing like grain beneath your pillow, shifting the rhythm of your breath beyond the newly dead. Tonight is a long hour without minutes. This blue bead of moonlight on your brow. Be the spirit girl who stands in clear water, stilling everything. Trees, stones, root skin, invisible creatures who pause as you think of them. Shelter in the mirror of her image, her cape of gray doves, dense as the moss that surrounds her. Be stunned as the shaft of light on her face. Move like a hymn in the hidden worlds. Be here, only here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lois. And now let's welcome Ken Scott.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This one piece that I'm going to do, I did this back in 1988, and this was a reflection on a passage out of the Bible, out of the book of Daniel, when King Nebuchadnezzar was struck with madness and was out in the field like cattle. This was the feeling that it evoked in me. And this poem is based on that. It's called Outcast in the Field. How long have I lived, and yet am I dead, motionless, without pain, sorrow, alone with my baggage of fear and sorrow, hated, stripped of all dignity. What kind of life am I? What is my mind, that chasm? And yet I sit calmly dressed in rags, lonely, and in a faraway field with the beasts of the field wet with warm rain from the skies and with the tears of my eyes. I sit alone with my legs crossed, crying the pain of loneliness, lovelessness, sorrow, and fear common, like an old friend. The clouds overhead pour their sorrows upon me as I sit motionless, singing silent songs of sorrow with the trees and the wind, like a mother long lost, caressing me with her gentle hands, caring for me though I knew not. Where am I? I wondered aimlessly. Alone still, the years pass me by. They don't care. As I sit hopelessly, motionlessly, helplessly, in the same field, abandoned, isolated, only the beasts murmuring among themselves as they feed upon the flesh of grass. I masturbate in hopelessness and nothing happens, only sorrow and agony ejaculate forth. How did I get here? I wonder, in the falling rain, I remember I am an outcast, a vagabond, a derelict in nature's paradise. My heart is empty, except for one small grain of who I am, sitting there in the corner of my heart, with cobwebs of age, sitting there hopelessly in loneliness, even as I sit, dressed in rags, lonely, and in a faraway field, wet with warm rain from the skies, and with tears of my eyes.
Wow, Ken.
Thank you.
Fantastic, man.
Thank you.
Wow, great reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great reading. Thank you. What a piece.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ken. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Let's welcome Nancy Murphy.
Hi, nice to be here.
Hi.
We had a slow start, but what a show. All right, I'll try to do my part, keep up with big kids. But this is a new piece that I'm working on, and it's inspired or after a poem by Louise Glick, one of my favorite poets, a poem called Early December in Croton-on-Hudson. And this is called Winter's White. Ice is wider than water, dwarfs the shoreline. Where is the river now? How the water moves under the surface, slides away from you when you notice it. When someone you want feels you're reaching, lets that flood them, then ice. Bone white, we say, a color to choose for a wall, as if we know, as if we can see into the center of each other, as if we know the difference between stone-colored bone and ice. The quiet that snow sends out when you stand still, not unlike isolation. When you meet your own eyes in the mirror, you were just combing your hair, then a buckling, the weight of what you miss. Outside, icicles in sunlight, melting, dripping. Overhead, a black bird circles. I will always want some you. The pulse of that keeps me alive, like a steady tap on my shoulder, someone keeping me awake when I'm driving at night. You never see black ice. Thank you.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy. Now let's welcome Jerry Garcia.
Hi, how are you? Great night. This is a book, poem from my new book. It's called Trumpets in the Sky. Has a lovely foreword by Beth Russia. And it's worth the book. The price of the book just to read something.
Get this
from
book,
Beth.
you guys. It's a wonderful, wonderful book.
So I'm going to read a poem called Radiance. In the non-insulated garage of my mind, a lone mechanic cranks a vise, pressuring the cranium until stars spill through my ears. He bangs, clangs, and pings with a magic sheet metal hammer. Then he drills little holes. Bright shards fall onto my bed, illuminating the darkened room before floating freeform into the galaxy. It's a ride to be seen, a Studebaker golden hawk dodging the flotsam and jetsam of space. When that manic car superimposes the sun, it looks luminous for a moment, flames out, and returns to my globe as a scorched hunk of steel. Earth no longer needs her exquisite beauty. When daylight rises, I devote myself to finding pieces of my once magnificent automobile and the gray matter that built it. Chasing that daring cipher of thought, I will scratch letters on paper or tap, tap, tap the keyboard with continued shades and color, flashing radiance in the quiet morning air. Thank you.
Hey, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Okay, let's welcome Marie Lecrivain. Marie?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, I knew it.
So I'm going to share a poem that I wrote for my mother for Valentine's Day. The weird thing about being in your sixth decade is you get what I call the long memory, which is all your childhood memories start coming back when you least expect it. And this one's called, it's called Friday Night Fish Fry.
Marie, turn on your camera, your video.
No, sorry, I worked a 16-hour day. You don't want to see me. So I remember the night, Catholic school fish fry, communal celebration. On the down low during the dark Lenten days before an Easter dawn, a silent auction, and my classmates and I who worked the event to attain community service hours to qualify for confirmation. It's not a specific tale that I want to occupy my worn down memory palace, but this is the night that I saw my mother and father dance, a couple in tune and in love with each other, who never eschewed PDAs or played it proper for the pinched mouth emotional poppers. The dips and swirls and whirling apart to come together again with laughter and joy continued long after the pots and plates were washed and the tables and chairs put away for another day. The smiles they shared, which held a secret I didn't recognize until it was my turn to fall in love. This is the gem that shines atop my memory palace and lightens my soul when I feel alone.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. And now let's welcome Stephen Five.
Hey there. Thank you. Really enjoying this evening. Thank you so much for this. Like everybody, it seems I have a book. It's called Courbet's Blue Parrot, published by Shift Poetry Press. It's my third collection, and I have a website, stephenfife.com, where everything's listed. So if you're at all interested, please check out the website, and you can get more information there. These are all poems of love and sex. The publisher had an idea that there was going to be a market for this for Valentine's Day, but of course, COVID had other ideas. And so all those events were canceled. And I didn't go to New York to promote it. And so here I am. Very happy to be here reading with you. This is a poem called A Poem for My Enemy. I am 14 years old and climbing a mountain, a very big mountain, very tall, one of the tallest. I am in a group of teens. We climb things and navigate rivers. We stare into fires and have sex in the woods. I am one of the youngest in the group and very aware of it. There's a red-haired girl from Chicago. I am doing my best to impress, but the odds are against me. We have gone skinny dipping together and checked each other out. She has pale skin like a trout's underbelly. It glowed in the moonlight. It shimmered. I want to touch her so badly. Her newly formed breasts with their proud little nipples, the silky, scraggly filaments between her legs. But it is forbidden. And besides, she has knocked my hand away easily, almost carelessly each time I've tried. Then one night it rains on an island. All our tents have collapsed and we're drenched. The girl and I race into the forest. We are dimly aware of movement around us, things undulating in the damp darkness, making strange sounds. She kisses me full on the mouth, just as she's done many times in my dreams, but never in life. It's a wet kiss in the rain. There is water everywhere, but it feels like our element now, like we belong here. I want to dive into a rivulet with her and be swept away. But then a voice in the darkness calls out, "Hey, what's going on there? Just stop it." That's Jackie, my enemy here. Large-bodied with wire-rimmed glasses that often slip down her nose, she is always making fun of my scrawny legs, challenging me to bouts of arm wrestling, claiming she could flip me over with one hand and pin me down with the other. I have no doubt that she could do this, and I am terrified that she will. Or else take me across her knee right in front of the group. I have almost as many nightmares about this as I do dreams about the girl from Chicago. And then another moment that seems closer to fantasy than anything that could really happen. Jackie reaches over and plucks Chicago away from me, steering her out of the woods. I feel so wet and hungry. But now we are climbing this mountain, this accumulation of snow and ice. Our group is roped together, connected, with Jackie ahead of me and Chicago behind. You better keep up, Jackie warns me. If I feel you dragging me down, I'm gonna kick your butt down the mountain. I try to laugh at this, or at least smile, but my lips won't form that expression. I look back at me at Chicago, but she is laughing and holding hands with another boy. Her hair looks on fire against the white snow in the morning light. Jealousy burns a heart-shaped hole in my chest. We teenagers carry huge packs on our backs. We move slowly like beasts of burden. I glance at our shadows trudging beside us. It looks like a race of huge snails making a pilgrimage to some holy rock where we will propagate and lay our warm eggs, which will pulse in the moonlight like jello. 2,000 feet short of the summit, Chicago drops out. My feet hurt, she whimpers, slipping her shoes off and rubbing them. I wish I could rub her feet too, rub them and kiss them, but the air is too thin here for fantasies. They flame out like flying fish who leap up into the sunshine and never come down. Speaking of which, I can hear a soft sound rising out of my lungs like a child blowing on a small whistle. This is my fear, not being able to breathe here. For a moment, I think about dropping out with Chicago, seeing as many of her sights as she'll show me, maybe even strolling down her main street. But then Jackie levels me with a scornful look, as if saying, "Ha, I knew you couldn't do it." I can, and I will. I may be one of the youngest, but so what? I have what it takes to get to the top, and I want to see her face when I do. The sun is up. It is high in the sky like a beating heart, a heart full of love. But this love is melting the mountain. The higher we climb, the more the mountain is melting around us. The path in front of us is slipping away, as are my chances of reaching the summit. The whistle in my lungs has grown into a squeeze box that is squeezing all the air out of me, all the depths of my breath. I can see the top of the mountain. It is looming above me, but my breathing is shallow, so shallow, like a big fish in a small bucket, with just a trickle of water to swim in. I can see Jackie ahead of me, moving with force and determination, but I am so lightheaded, so light in my head, that the flying fish were flying right out of me and taking shape in the snow as the girl from Chicago, calling to me from every snowbank to untie my line and come over and play. "Hey, stop pulling on me, you jerk," Jackie yells at me without turning around. This brings me back down to earth, at least for the moment. "Sorry," I squeak, but I don't think she hears me. "Just 500 feet to the summit," someone shouts. I look up and stumble over my feet and wipe out. My falling drags Jackie down too. We both sprawl in the slushy snow, and the line of climbers stops moving forward. "What the hell?" Jackie stands up without any help and points down at me. "Stop leaning on me. I'm not carrying you the rest of the way." I nod and try to apologize, but nothing comes out. The climber behind me helps me to my feet. "We're almost there," he assures me. "Not far to go." I nod, trying to regain my balance. But Jackie moves furiously upward, and the rope that connects us jerks me off my feet and back down to my knees. I stumble forward, leaning heavily on my connection to Jackie. I can't breathe now, can't breathe at all. My lungs are frozen, and I feel like a puppet or a marionette, Jackie's puppet. I keep falling in the slush. Always able, bouncing up, bouncing along, leaning on Jackie, falling down. "Stop leaning on me, stop it, it's not fair," Jackie cries out. But she doesn't look around, she keeps going, and she carries me over the final ridge and onto a plateau of rock and melted ice. The summit, we're here. The other teens have untied their knots. They are all seated on the rock formations, conversing, or else gazing down at the world, which spreads out beneath us and goes on forever. And I'm here too. I've made it all the way to the top, even though I couldn't breathe and I'm still having trouble. And it's all thanks to you, Jackie. It was all thanks to you. So thank you. I couldn't find the words at the time. I was ashamed, and besides, I was embarrassed by the squeaky sounds my lungs made. But you did for me what even the greatest friends I've ever had might not have done. I wish now that we'd wrestled. It would have been an honor to be pinned by you, to be thumped at arm wrestling. I hope you've had a good life and that someone, somewhere, did something for you which even a little bit approaches this huge thing that you did for me, this huge sacrifice you made, which I've never forgotten and never will forget as long as I'm still on this earth, as long as I'm still breathing.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
You're muted again.
Okay now, right?
Yes, that's good.
What a night, what a night, what a night. I know I haven't been around everybody, but we just need a little bit of a change of energy. Beth, do you have another one? And then I'll have Elena, Karina, Byrne again.
You have another poem.
You'll come back at the end as well.
Okay.
So.
This is a new poem. As much the hours as the crosses. Tonight, waiting at a long red light, I watch a man on the median fold in half his broke plus anything will help cardboard sign and shove it down the back of his loose jeans, a grimy brace which pulls his shoulders to attention militarily, picks up his chin. Later, that nightmare where my legs don't work, and the one where Giacometti thin neighbors come out onto their front stoops and puff up like sails. Their cotton lawn shirts have Peter Pan collars, the rounded collars of my home ec final. A girl I knew sewed through her index finger just to get out of redoing her French seams. In the morning, Dad will call, sounding far off, as if a spaceship took him in his sleep and he's only just been beamed back to bed. Glad to see the sun come up, he'll say. Here's your mother. In the sweltering afternoon, making sherbet with my niece from You Pick Bing cherries. First batch cooks up tasting like the pan, the long simmered Christmas cassoulet. And instantly, and once again, the air thickens, the sound of that winter when the skies opened up like punishment, the windows fogged over, and the expectant appetites of the last guests, my dad, hungering still to be caught up in any old jubilation, making this kitchen an island, a poem we never finish.
Thank you, Beth. All right, James Everett, James.
Thank you. This is entitled Dinner at Aldrin Summit. In Armstrong Park at the Tranquility Settlement, Olivia Engel and Jesse Lewis play catch with a mile of space between them. Olivia tracks the baseball with the cartographic overlays Jesse designed for her contacts. The whole world watches this first pitch on the moon on their Instagrams and send likes and loves and wows instantaneously. 18 seconds later, Jesse and Olivia break the Guinness World Record for social networking engagement, racking up 10 billion views 12 seconds before the ball even reaches her glove. Meanwhile, Lance Kirkland completes his 25-year prison sentence for leaking an adaptive AI source code for military drones. The effects of his treason were almost immediate. All war ceased. There was no longer a point to it. The drones ran trillions upon trillions of simulations of shifting global alliances, of anticipated firmware upgrades, of the comparative rates of self-reparations, of stalemate after stalemate after stalemate, and then they simply just shut down. Many Americans were still watching television and never even noticed. A grateful world pays his $5 billion fine to a GoFundMe account with another $5 for his retirement. Lance walks out of prison, a rich man. Later, President Elena Petty issues a pardon to Lance. Her vice president, Alex Schachter, invites Lance to dinner at the Aldrin summit of Armstrong Park. They dine on lobster, harvested from reforested oceans, scrubbed of plastic microbeads and vagabond beer cans. Alex says the lunar gravity forces you to eat more slowly. Lance takes in the scent of dill and drawn butter, accenting the lemony tang of cracked pepper and romaine lettuce on his palate as he watches the earth eclipse the sun like a door closing. A world blocking sunlight through throwing darkness on the future, the way a lid gently closes on a child's coffin, throwing darkness on the future of sight, of playing catch, of civil disobedience. Olivia Engel and Jesse Lewis attended Sandy Hook Elementary School until December 14th, 2012. Lance Kirkland attended Columbine High School until April 20th, 1999. President Elena Petty and Vice President Alex Schachter attended Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School until February 14th, 2018. Their futures and ours thrown into darkness like the eclipsing of a sun, the closing of a door, or the blanketing of silent soil over a young adult. And still, we have yet to grasp, even in this dimming present, that with each loss, we lose so much more than children.
Wow. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. If we have time, we can come back and do another round, but you know, we're moving along. Thank you so much. And I really love that moon. Looks so real. Karen D. Carpenter, are you reading?
No, but thank you.
No?
I'm not. No.
Patrick Maloney, are you reading?
No, I'm not. I would like to come back and read it sometime now.
Okay, please do. Please. Quaternion. Do you have a
Hello?
short? Hi, thank you for your help at the beginning.
Gotta
Thank you so
fix
much.
my audio settings. I have
I don't know what happened to Steve and Heather to Love Me in the Dark. They're probably in the dark on the way to Carmel. I texted them and have not replied, so I hope they're okay.
am I audible?
Yes, you are very.
Ah, excellent. So I think I'm just gonna read a short one today. Well, short by my standards. Reach out to touch the frail wings of a Luna moth, taped to a placard, pinned to a wall of dead butterflies. Where is the metaphor in those creatures gathered against the fallen honor of the unburdened? Where is the beauty in dead letters and oblivion hymns sung so far beyond forgotten shores? Cold coasts call to placid waters, harbor a memory of fireflies. Each flicker in fundament, each drone beneath the hive, the emperor's cattle, the lost cogs reach out.
Thank you. Has anyone else who hasn't had a go like to read?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, if it's okay. I wasn't planning. I don't have it in front of me, but I remember two really short ones that I wrote a long time ago. This one is called Pardon Me. Please pardon this page. It occupies space. It needed a place to escape the rat race. I remember that one. And another one I wrote called Hummingbird Faith. Has no one yet told the hummingbird that sweets are only for dessert? That nectar cannot produce muscle, blood, and bone? Nay, so by faith alone it flutters, for it knows not what cannot be so. And in the purity of not knowing, all of its needs are fulfilled. Can you eat 1 grain of rice and grow 100 pounds? Where has your innocence gone? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Risto, right? Risto?
Risto, yes.
Okay. Yes, wonderful. Thank you. And now let's hear another one from Dean.
Hey, I'm going to do I have a very short piece, and then I have a piece that I'm going to read that is I always have a I try to read a piece of someone who's inspired me, and someone who has inspired me a lot is my father, who passed away just over a year ago now, and he was 97, and this is something he wrote when he was 92, and I thought for all the writers on the Zoom, it would be just a nice kind of reflection. It's called The Writer in Old Age. At my present age of 92, the afflictions of aging assail me like the onslaught of an army bent on my destruction. Each week seems to bring a new, unwelcome impairment. My chest rents space to a pacemaker, and I have several stents in my arteries. I have a spinal stenosis that restricts my reach and prevents me from putting on my stockings. Add to that a peripheral neuropathy that causes burning in my toes and numbness in my fingers, making it difficult for me to button my shirt. I also have chronic digestive problems and an insidious fatigue. Not long after I rise in the morning, I yearn to recline on the couch. If I live a few years longer, I will enter the realm of Petrakis, who I remember as a boy to be the oldest member of my father's parish. While no one could be sure, it was rumored the old man was near 100. I remember him after he had received the sacrament of communion, lurching down the center aisle in church, bent double as he walked, limbs trembling, cheeks twitching, his carcass withered, worn out, fossilized. As he passed the pew where I sat, a wrenching at my nostrils confirmed he also smelled like a goat. God spare us such length of life. What faculties do I now retain? I can still walk with the aid of a cane, still talk, eat, sleep with the aid of pills, smile, and on occasion laugh. Most thankfully, I'm still able to fashion words together to make stories. I am no longer confident enough to start a book-length novel, but I do manage essays and short stories. Yet while sitting at my computer and fashioning my stories, resisting an urge to lie down, I cannot help plaintively remembering the years of my creative vigor when my body and spirit jubilantly embraced the strain and rigors of writing. A short story could be written in several days to a week. A novel took from a year to 3 years. Yet in the heat of creating, time seemed inconsequential, a week passing as if it were a day. Anyway, I encourage you to look up my pop's work because it's a treat for everybody. And I'll put his website on the chat. And I just have a short little piece here that I just have written that I will
Say his name, Dean. Say his name.
His name is Marc Petrakis, and he wrote to the very end of his life and published over 25 books. And my brothers are on the call here, so we miss him terribly, and my mom. So this is a short.
Excuse me, Tom. Laichas, you should really quick tell them what you just told me in the chat.
Yeah, well, I recognize the name. Your grandfather christened my father.
There you
Chicago
go.
in 1923. So it's
there you go.
Kind of old home week, 99 years later.
Yeah, now what are the odds of that happening, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd say inevitable. It's inevitable. It's kismet.
Inevitable. It's like
Wow.
exactly. So I'll put his name here in the chat, and we do have a website, harrymarkpetrakis.com. So
I read all your dad's books because my father bought them all, collected every one of them.
he had to if he was Greek. So
Yeah.
it really wasn't allowed otherwise. So that's great. That's a great story. This is a short piece I just wrote, and it's not in the book, but it's called Skyfall. The sky was born tonight at sunset. Cloaks of purple fluff coated the horizon while a nest of sparrows chirped. Strips of light never revealed before glimmered in a tender lacquered homage to dreaming. Even the man-made sounds of the freeway and a propeller plane filled their role in the canopy of wonder. Softly present and harmonious, baritone lollipops dropping towards earth. At the end, it all converged into orange and blue eternity as day left the door ajar for twilight and its iridescent cloak to transform this forlorn heaven. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Hi,
here.
Keysha.
Hey, I know I said originally that I wasn't going to read, but I've been moved.
But you decided you would?
Yeah. And I thought I would read the first poem that I brought to the workshop, actually. It's titled The Break or Rabbit Scream. A turtle upended on a rock in its home. Old age, maybe, or some wound. The sun eats it all away. When do our bodies become ours? I turn inward to find out, but come back only with fistfuls of fur. The apartment is smaller than I remember it every time I enter. Sunlight is broken by curtains, like eyelashes skim over the chalky blue walls, fingertips running over the grooves of the wallpaper in interesting texture. Hair gets stuck in the drain. I heat up some chocolate on the good burner and hear a voice in the other room. Sometimes in here it rains. Fat drops cling to my eyelashes, slip under the collar of my shirt, and it's difficult to discern a voice through the sound of water crashing down. I wring my hair out over the sink and hear faintly a bird chirping in a bush outside the window. The bush is important. Without it, the bird is unable to land, to sing, to rest, to sing. What waits at home for me? To investigate the voice in the other room would mean to acknowledge the possibility of Laura Smalley, Fountain Hughes. In other words, to live in the present. Maybe I am the anachronistic piece, the tight grip around an expanding balloon, a suture of time, but time is the wound. Time is molasses, thick, slow, and desperate for sweetness, sweetness in fuchsia lips and bruises, sweetness in the intrusion of heartache, sweetness in desiring God. No, desiring faith. I want to have faith, but this life is nobody, no body. I feel the fluttering of wings. I don't see them. My lungs are fixed for screaming. Constantly, I am in disbelief at the ego and its demands, that I make a home for it, that I hold some place for it, keep it clean and bright. My spaces are temporary. I stand at the water's edge, and the edge is never the same. Maybe our bodies dashed against the rocks would offer something beyond temporary, some sort of permanence in that kind of ending. But all of it is illusion. I will just band-aid the scrape on my knee. I will just pocket some sea glass. I will just tread to keep my face above the water, ambivalent waves. If you will slip your hand in my hand, the currents of life, our bodies animated by blood, blood flows by water's path through the terrified rabbit in the wood, broken little tail. We must wish with all of its heart that it could scream in order to make the screaming happen. For no home to run to, no burrow, it thinks, displaced. When did our bodies become ours? And how did they? This water is always cold when we come to it. I grip to you in the confusion of it, hair splayed out around us like a mesh. A young Black girl in the South plays through patches of indigo, and deep spirit brushes up against her back, wind through her hair. I've never been trapped inside a whirlpool, but I imagine it would feel like this. Looking up at the ceiling, truly looking at the walls, and seeing the presence of who's been here. Dusted fingerprints, howling spirit, and sometimes just the creaking of a rocking chair, chipped blue paint, a violent eviction, a redundancy.
Thank you, Keysha. And now let's hear Tom.
So there was a shooting a year or two ago at Whole Foods parking lot, and the news reported that there had been the shooting and that bullets grazed the victim's leg, which just was a striking phrase. So at the Whole Foods parking lot, bullets graze her leg. When we say graze, bullets grow hooves, stand bovinely in place, blinking in the siren's breeze. When we say graze, flesh becomes alfalfa, patrol car land a pasturage, Whole Foods a barnyard. When we say graze, bullets ruminate on heather and grasses, though some of them eat meat. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is Leon still here?
I have a really short one. I think you'll appreciate that it's really short. Okay. I have trouble killing anything. And when pulling weeds, I find myself whispering, "I'm sorry." And I think I hear the weeds say, "It's okay. If we could, we'd kill you too."
Thank you. Marc Petrie.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think the featured readers tonight, I can't believe how enthusiastic you are for the entire performance. I've watched your faces and how you have reflected on the words of other people, and it just makes me feel like it's a community of poets. So I want to thank you guys for your participation and your beautiful words. So I'm going to read a real quick one. It's from my book, and see, beautiful picture, Poems of Nature and Despair. I took this picture. It's sunset at Ventura Beach, looking at Santa Cruz Island, one of my favorite places in the world. And this is a poem that a friend of mine read to me the other day that I wrote several years ago. Her name's Margaret Sen. I don't know if you know her. She's a German poet. But this one's called Red Granite. Beyond the wars, beyond the rising smog, far from the lingering hate, past the urban blight, red light shines on a sheer granite face somewhere in the Sierra.
Thank you, Marc. That was very nice to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth. Thank you. I really appreciate your help. So I'd like, if I can remember this one poem that I wrote actually in Leon's class. It was inspired by Leon's class. And we share the same last name. My husband and Leon, the same name, Martell, with 2 L's. We really get very upset when people misspell our names with only 1 L. So it's like the cognac, right? Very. The sea smells so salty today. Mornings always seem saltier. You can taste the brine in the air. Seagulls circling around, looking for scraps, have an uncommon thrill coming from all directions. I feel the cold air through my hair, my knuckles reddened, knees trembling with joy. At last I'm home. The waves are welcoming in a symphony with cymbals and drums, tuba and the grand piano. And yet I feel all the shores connected, eternal shore that has visited the world. I'm never lonely by the sea. Thank you. That's my home. So, all right, anybody else? And I'm coming back to you, Beth.
Are you coming back to me?
Yes. I mean, if there's anybody else who would like to read a short one.
Yeah, I would.
Well, I think yours, like, you know, was a
With too long?
like a co-feature. Yes. I never timed. I
have a short one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just asking if anybody hasn't read, if anybody has read the short one would like to come.
I'll chime in. I know I told Beth
please.
that I would. Yeah,
You're gonna read? Oh, please.
I told you I wouldn't. But
I want you to, Lynda. Oh, so good.
But
Of
I'm
course,
trying to
Lynda,
see.
I wouldn't
Yes.
let you leave the
Hold on,
Zoom
though.
call without reading either.
Linda,
Okay,
Linda,
Right,
yes.
Don't make me change my mind. Okay, so this is short though. Jazz bent the horn like Harriet Tubman charmed the moon to sleep at her will, to make a way when the eyes of her people called. There was a time before we were offered, dragged, before we landed afar, anew, and couldn't always run. Is that keen in a familiar call from across the water, a message bending sound with us? We need to close our eyes, listen, chant soothe 100 billion nerves that make us human. Let our navel strings, left behind to sow music, left behind to sing, eager for our return. Let them conjure with us. We need to forge the jazz to pull us from this zoo. We behave differently in zoos. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Lynda.
Lynda. Okay.
So I've got a perfect poem to follow that. If you are still looking for.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think Marc Petrie had indicated he wanted to read another one.
Thank you. Yes. I'm looking. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you've got text
He did
chat
read
up?
another one.
He did read another one.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I misread his message.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Beth.
So yes. So just because I'm riffing, I'm jazz riffing on Lynda's poem. It's called Listen Up. Listen up. The sky is a canvas primed, pulled taut, and all the rivers named. Shade gathers round us like a dirndl skirt, cinched up, thinned woods, half kindling, half pine needles, fallen. Out in the field, dry whispers rise to precipitation. Listen. Beneath cankered bark, we are green, drought dormant, but eager as saplings to feed on a thundered morning. The square is full of noise. Breathe. Dive beyond the dominion of roots, where this world is nursed, where what could sustain us struggles reaching.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
That was a little.
I've been asked if Lynda has another. Does Lynda
Oh,
have another
wow.
poem?
Oh gosh.
How about for girls who ballet is enough? That one.
Oh, you love that one. Huh? Okay,
I love that one.
let me see if it's sitting in the folder. Hang on, that okay.
We've just been joined by. Sorry.
All right, I found it. I found it. It's
good.
Ooh. Okay. Beth loves this, so
I do.
Ballet is never enough. For Caribbean girls who want to point toes, tighten, lessen their backsides into the unnatural, stretch the strings of violins, having lost the cora. For Caribbean girls who strain to keep arms above heads, pirouetting away from ancestral earth skin, be wise. Listen to your mothers who laugh with teeth and tongue. Watch them grabble flared poplin dresses above their knees, gyrate hips into a curved spoon bowl, a cycle of earth life, circle of star life. Be carefree. Follow Mother Sally, caress fertility ripples, blue-green clear from across the ocean of your future, your past, your present musk life. Look askance at small bone breaking dances that bend and bleed phalanges. Be swift. Push past Advent, Spain, Portugal, England, France. Push past interims, Kampa, Calenda, Bele, Kaiso. Work deep down into dance, a dingole on a sea path. Reclaim your original wounds. Thank you.
Yay!
Okay. Who wants to go while we're waiting? Let's keep this jazz going. It's jazz.
They're called These Things. And they're very short stanzas. So when I say 1, 2, 3, it's not going to go on for a long time, I promise you. These things,
right.
1. You absorb these things into your bones. You feel 20, or like you remember how 20 felt. But these things, oh, these things you've absorbed, they've absorbed you a little bit too. These things you've taken into your body, your mind, like stray dogs you have saved and given a home to. But somehow all along, they were just teaching you how to be a stray. 2, these things you've absorbed into your bones, they have also absorbed you. Somehow these things have become more you than you ever were, or at least more you than you can ever remember being.
Thank you. You kept your promise. Thank you, Stephen. Quaternion.
Okay. This is called Thread. Dad, I don't judge your sun-struck puddles. On a train track marked with soft condemnation, a river of absence trails from one bare foot, sprawling the aisle. And there is nowhere to go for a drop of rain. Change jingles in a pocket, hands reach to check for holes. He holds up jeans made for a bigger man. But a beggar now finds twice too much in the room where hunger bores new holes in lost belts. But there is nowhere left on the leather of his skin to hold his empty stomach. Feet slap on bare pavement, glass shards find impenetrable walls, black gates of tarmac, tainted callousness. He holds his meager things in one hand, and the shadows of his former glory in the other, and there is nowhere left in phantom pains for nightmares to fill. Help. A sign reads under a mask of plague-fueled paranoia. Who will lend a helping hand when two blights on dying lands collide? For there is nowhere left where broken angels lie for either to live.
Thank you. Thank you, Quaternion. Okay.
Hi, Elena. I could try one that I just wrote on my phone if anybody can hear me. I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
And then
it's
we're
only-
waiting for James Everett Jones after that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's called I Would Have Never Sat Down to Write. I would have never sat down to write if I had not first found such delight in Emily, Edgar, Walter, and Maya, their phenomenal lines lifting me ever higher. A true poet is a storyteller speaking from the heart of love, loss, joy, and emotions set apart. In humble gratitude to all these glorious bards, I write today, fearless, more secure than scarred. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, James Everett Jones.
Awesome. This
Thank you.
one's entitled Immortal. I want my friends to be immortal, living in an endless loop between 24 and 42 and always gaining wisdom. I want just one room in my house where I can go to hear their laughter and embarrassingly off-color jokes, and windows I can look through to see their aspirations across the street through a blizzard of dandelion seeds, and that yeasty camaraderie smell drifting from the kitchen on clouds of cinnamon and tides of butter and honey. I want my friends to be immortal, playing football on the front lawn. Some nights, I'd like to wait on the porch with lemonade to lay a welcome mat. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Susan.
Okay. This is called, I posted it on my Facebook site. It's called Manzanar. And it references a story that I once heard about Thich Nhat Hanh. And there's a epigram called by a spiritual leader of mine whose name is Ko Okada, which is, we all need to see hope in the blue sky. So it's called Manzanar. Close your eyes. Imagine the small, clear, two-paned window of a plane. Through the window, you see a vast expanse of clouds and sky. Each white shape adjusts itself as if alive. They drift and swim in a field of blue so beautiful you lift in flight. Our world is full of poetry. Beyond dark skies, hope dances like clouds in wind. We all need to see hope in the blue sky. Once monk and poet Thich Nhat Hanh gave 2 tangerines to his friend Jim, who paid no attention and devoured them, missing each orange globe. Han thought he'd wasted both. See and eat your tangerine, he told Jim, giving him a third. Feel the fruit. Jim took each section, admired the shape, tasted the tang upon his tongue. In this way, he made the shape and flavor real. Years later, Jim languished in a prison cell, hopeless, crazed with grief. His crime, he refused to fight. He didn't feel the Vietnam War was right. His path was peace. Heartsick, he sent word to Thich Nhat Hanh. Han's postcard reply asked him to see confinement differently. Jim, you're still eating your tangerine. Our lives are like tangerines, Han said, with 24 sections or hours. We need to eat them well. In Manzanar, Henry Fukuhara changed shapes of confinement into watercolor imagery. He looked deeply until he could see artistry in clouds of dust, a mountain range, the desert camp where hope reclaimed lost dignity. Behind barbed wire, he found freedom to imagine life differently. He captured beauty in water, color. We feel the heart of Manzanar through his resolve to change his world, feel the light inside the dark. His watercolors blur and dance, even guard towers come alive. When Fukuhara looked at a scene, he summoned courage to change it all around. He asked, how can I make shapes different than they are? He told students, step back and see. He hoped that they could let the big shapes thrive, could see an entire path when only 2 bricks were found. We just need to see the larger view. Even after going blind, Fukuhara could feel all things, water, ground, clouds, sky, have shape. And hope too has one, if we look for it. Fukuhara still paints peace into our shadow lives by perceiving light in each detail, infusing shape with an artist's braille, reminding us to savor scenes like tangerines, to eat our moments well, and to have a larger view. In Manzanar, we see peace comes when we close and open our eyes. Behind dark cloud shapes, hope rises in a sea of wind, dances in a sky blue field. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Okay, well, we had about 60 people. We're down to 29. That's pretty remarkable at this early hour. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You are all
Miss
wonderful.
Miss
Amazing.
Elena,
Yes,
we haven't heard much music tonight.
no.
Do you have something you can sing for us?
I'll see if I can get something else. But now, is anybody else had to go? And shall we close the spoken word with Beth? Does
Do you
Dean
want
have
me to
another
read
one?
your favorite poem, Elena?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does Dean have another one?
Dean?
I have one more I can read for sure.
And then you close with my
why don't I
favorite.
read it? I can read it, and then you can bring us home, Beth.
Beth.
Okay, you guys. I'm a night owl.
Okay.
You go.
Okay, sounds good. So this is from the book again, and it's called The Day at the Ocean.
Oh.
I walked until I hit the cliffs, and massive rocks blocked my path. The beach shimmered, a day when the ocean yielded to sky, dolphins leaping in and out of frame, people taking pictures of people taking pictures of people. The images reeled up into private clouds in the air. But down here, there are no clouds. A Japanese man and woman are dressed for a wedding. A sad bouquet Her white dress, his worn blue suit, so much anticipation. A photographer with lenses and lights stages the event. I notice their shoes filling with sand to keep them earthbound. Behind them, rocks the size of dinosaurs seize chunks of sky, a prehistoric backdrop for a ritual almost as ancient. A few feet away, a young woman meditates in a classic Buddha pose. The water foams around her in adoration. The wind blows, her wrap flutters, exposing reptile tattoos that scare me. The sun and spray sizzle her skin. The tattoos hiss and wriggle, though she remains poised in stillness. A wave crashes. I thought she was apart from the wedding, but now it seems she's a muscular deity praying for their protection and rich blessings. She opens her eyes and sees me seeing her. She's not pleased. The sun is behind me when I walk back, remembering something my high school track coach once said: however far in one direction you run on a beach, always run the same distance back so the muscles of the legs don't shorten. I remember this today. It seems meaningful. When I get back, the Japanese couple now have 2 children in their wedding party. Time really does fly. Thank you, Elena, for inviting me and for reading with Beth and Leon and everybody. And it was a treat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dean. Wonderful.
Everybody get this book. It's a wonderful book. I've read it twice now.
Thank you,
I can't
Beth.
see the title.
Here, it's Sweeping Up Stardust by Dean Petrakis.
And I put
Thank
it,
you very much.
I think
I
he put it in the chat.
And I put it in the
Okay,
chat
thank
too,
you.
how to get it for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And do get Beth's book.
I'm going to read Elena's favorite poem. Before I had this book, I read this poem one night when we were in actual life person at the Real Rap Saloon. And you're the biggest fan of this poem, and it warms my heart, Elena, because I had the idea for this poem before I knew how to write it, many years before. And I finally figured out how to do that, and here it is. Nameless in Paris. Off the steel lace of Eiffel, I launch myself, and it's just a matter of angle, this flying, levitating, really, without strain. And next to me, on the night he's died, Marlon Brando flies too, right through French doors, cups his hand over my mouth, his face within my bite. No names here, not one name. Brando, when beautiful was a weary thug. I'm dreaming in cinema again, which is all I know of Paris, and I'm sick to death of gravity, the ache I feel where wings should be. I want to slough off the places where I'm known, the many rooms of my renown, summer picnics where I lugged a heavy coat, dipped not one toe in the water, woke up tethered to a map, never lost my way going home. Let me slip back into a bathwater night in this city of flight. Let my body pour out easy, following the river I've heard runs through Paris, weightless, aloft, anonymous at last among the French stars. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
What a marathon of a night. A gigantic marathon, but hey, we had a lot of people and we had a lot of beautiful poetry, and people got moved to read when they didn't even know they were going to.
Exactly.
That's right. Wonderful. Thank you all
Very
so very
spontaneous.
much.
Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much for coming.
Great to hear all the words. Thank you. And
It's
thank
not
you, Elena.
over yet. Thank you, Leon. Really do appreciate you. And again, Leon is the first person I've ever met in our poetry community. And look at us. I mean, I'm humbled. I am honored to be in your company, all of you. And I really don't, I was talking with Beth about this. I don't consider the open mic. I consider the open mic a chorus. And the chorus is just as important as the featured readers because we all sustain each other. So, I mean, everybody says, oh, your readings are great. My readings, well, I mean, I screw up. I can't do the technical stuff. My readings are good because of you. So all of you, I mean, I just love you. So maybe but I wanted to read this poem at the beginning and I just didn't feel it was appropriate. What do you think, Beth? Pretty Women?
Yeah, please, yes, read are you talking about the Maya Angelou poem?
Right.
Yes, please.
I mean, I just love her so much. And I mean, to be in her shoes and to write this poem, I think it's just so wonderful, so telling. So, pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into the room just as cool as you please. And to a man, the fellows stand and fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, and the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman phenomenal woman. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's the arc of my back. It's the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. Because I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Oh my God. I wish I had seen her at UCLA not that long ago, right? I mean, before she passed, she was at UCLA. Has anybody seen her live?
I did not see.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I guess on that note,
Elena, many, many years ago, I think you recall this, if people have been on Facebook for a long time, they used to have a second section to your personal page where you could like post your musings or things you enjoyed. It was actually a second part of it that they did away, I guess, for ads a number of years ago. But she actually had a personal page and I was honored to be there. And someone must have found one of my short pieces. And she had actually put it on her page and said, I really enjoyed this. I hope you do too. And I took a screenshot. I'll have to send it to you someday. And I never forgot that. And I'm still floating on air about that. It was one of my haikus. It was called The Bird. And we were doing it years ago, short fiction, flash fiction and writing that. And I didn't. It just wound up there. So that's my story. That's my attachment to I miss her every day. She's lovely. You can see it was in I mentioned her in this.
See that. Would love to see that. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, so Marc, what do you think? What do you think I should close with? Okay, all right, I'll just do it. Why is my heart so light? Why are the stars so bright? Why is the sky so blue since the hour I met you? Flowers are smiling bright, smiling for our delight, smiling so tenderly, for the world, you and me. I know why the world is smiling, smiling so tenderly. It hears the same old story through all eternity. Love, this is my song. Here is a song, a serenade to you. The song. What?
The world
That's
cannot
about
be
it.
wrong.
Wrong.
If in this
If
world,
in this world
there's you.
A duet.
I cannot what the world may
Say,
without the
your
world,
love, there is no
there is
day.
no way.
I think we should all sing it together.
If
That
Beth
was
sang some
beautiful.
opera, our dog would sing with her.
That's true. I sing opera with our dog.
And Elena, you're truly an Edith Piaf.
I'll do another short one. Hopefully I won't screw up, but this is a funny story. You actors would really appreciate it. I sang this at an audition. I thought that I was past love. I thought my heart was gold. Cold, until you came at last, love, turning the world to gold. I wanted to be near you, but never even dared to hope one day I'd hear you tell me that you cared. I'm falling in love again, never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it. Love's always been my game. Played how it may, I was made that way. I can't help it. Men cluster to me like moths around a flame. But if their wings burn, I know I'm not to blame. I'm falling in love again. Never wanted to. What am I to do? I can't help it. So I was asked at the audition if I wrote that song. I was flattered, of course.
Of course.
But it was a sort of seasoned casting director. So they here in LA. So
very good.
Anyway, I can't thank you all enough for sticking with me, for sticking here, for your wonderful, wonderful verses and stories and faces, beautiful faces. I mean, it is kind of like being in person, isn't it?
It
And
is,
you
and
look
we don't have to
very
drive
beautiful.
home.
Amen. I don't have to drive out to West Hollywood or wherever. It's a long way from Orange County.
Santa Monica, yeah. Yeah, and we've seen so many wonderful friends tonight.
Absolutely.
Well, you know,
job.
Dean's from Chicago, right? Weren't there
Yeah.
people here? Yeah.
There were people from Chicago, and apparently with Tom, we had a familial connection with my grandfather baptizing his father.
Oh my God.
Kind of crazy. That's
He's
wild.
my friend. I can't wait to talk to him more about it. How wild.
There was something about Sisto, I think his name was.
Risto.
That was related to your family too. I saw.
Yeah,
it
there's
flash
they
across.
live up in the Calistoga area. So we have a large Greek family that's around. Not that Risto's Greek, but he's Greek by marriage, and that's all that counts. So.
He's Greek.
Yeah, he's Greek by marriage. Yeah, we're actually we're up in Marin, so I am glad that we have Zoom. Otherwise, we couldn't have heard this tonight. So thank you. Thanks, Dean, for setting up
Thank
the
you.
invitation.
Thanks everybody for joining, from friends and family, old friends and friends in town. And I see Carl and Lori have hung in there, and my friend Dan. So everybody, Tina.
Yeah, it was a great
Bye.
turnout.
Yeah.
Did Tina stay? I mean, is Tina still here?
I think Tina's gone now.
No, I'm not gone.
Oh, you're here? Hi, Tina.
No, I am so wonderfully speechless. You said you said every word and feeling that I could be, and I'm so blessed to be here tonight. I can't tell you. I'm swelling with joy and love, and I'm just so inspired. I'm so grateful to
We would
be
love
at
to
the.
hear you. We would love to hear you do something, because I know you're such a brilliant actress. Do you have something, please?
Maybe another time. I'm very new at this writing in the last year, and sometime I will share something.
She's working
But
on something.
I am quite a few things, but I'm happy to see you, Dean Petrakis, and I know you've seen me and Beth and all you wonderful people. I'm just so
I'm always happy to
inspired.
see you, Tina. Always. So
Oh.
I'm always happiest just to see you on stage. But
Tina,
this is
Tina, one of the greats, one of the greats.
Oh, how sweet. Who is this person you're talking about?
I'm talking about you.
But you know, I have the greatest thing on my phone. I had a renewal of my wedding vows, and Beth taped it, and her laugh fills me every day with joy because you were laughing through the whole thing you taped. Anyway, I'm so happy to see and be inspired by all of you. I genuinely mean that. And I will share something at some point. But
Good.
Beth, first I'm going to send you what I said I would send.
Oh, well, you don't.
And
I
you'll-
love you, Tina. I love you.
Oh.
What, I love you. You don't need
I
to send
love
me
you too.
anything, but you can.
No,
send
no,
whatever you want.
I want to because I even think of you being this person in this play I wrote.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I thought
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
giving me like a break. Yeah, no. I definitely, yes, please, yes, of course, yes.
You'll be one of the first I've shared it with.
I would be honored.
Oh, well, okay.
Happy 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
Happy. Beth, do
Yeah.
you have a song?
Well,
Do you have a song?
Let's see. I have my grandmother's song.
Oh.
Okay.
This is my grandmother's little ditty. My grandmother was a Broadway actress, but she started in vaudeville. And she used to sing this little song. Every Saturday afternoon, we likes to drown our sorrows. We likes to go to the picture show and look at the Chamber of Horrors. There's a lovely statue of Mother there. We likes it, yes, oh rather. We likes to think of her as she was the night she strangled Father.
Brilliant. I think that is the perfect finish. Thank you again. Thank you so very much. Love you all.
Thank you. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody.
Good night.
Yasu.
Come back.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Come back.
See you
Bye.
again. We'll see you again.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You look beautiful, Elena.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay,
Elena.
Thank
You
you.
look beautiful
Thank
tonight.
you,
Thank
Elena.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Leave.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Teen.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm so excited for living now. I am.
That's what a compliment. You know, I do feel, I mean, with having Darrell here and everybody, that our community of poets, because we are actors and poets, and, you know, amongst other poets, I can't imagine any other place in the world being as strong as this. I mean, I cannot imagine.
It was tremendous, and it was a very rocky start. But the fact that people stayed, they stayed.
Right.
That's a real testament to. And then, and then they got quite a show.
You brought them in. You guys brought them in. Thank you. We'll have to walk on the beach.
We will. We will, Elena. Thank you so much. It was as well a lovely
Thank
night.
you.
I think it's very past Leon's bedtime, but I'll still be up for a
I'll
while.
let you go.
I love
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Good
Love
night,
you. Take
Dean.
care.
It's a
Good night,
beautiful
everyone.
moon, Elena. It's a very big and beautiful
Good
moon
night.
out there. It's
Okay.
March.
Are you walking?
Good night. Oh, look at you. Hi, Carl. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I've been cooking through all this whole thing.
Look at you. You look fabulous. Golly, we've been deprived of you the whole night, but you've been listening. That's so wonderful.
It was great. It was wonderful, wonderful evening.
Oh,
Good night, everyone.
good night. See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Parting is such
We're
sweet
down to
sorrow.
4 parts.
Good night, Elena.
Good night, Beth. You're wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
It was a
thank
great
you,
night.
thank you.
I'll never
Love you.
forget it.
Good night, Elena.
Oh,
Good night.
good night, Susan. Take care.
Did you see the moon, Elena? It's
Bye.
big.
Not yet.
It's big.
Not yet.
Look at it.
I'll go look at
I'll
it.
go and look. Okay. Bye.
night.
Ciao.
Au revoir.
Good night. Au revoir.